Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. Monday Night Raw tonight was from the Rocket Mortgage FieldHouse in Cleveland, Ohio. And Monday Night Raw tonight, the show sucked. The show was boring. Nothing happened on this show tonight, aside from the return of Tommaso Ciampa. That was it. Everything else was just meh, in my opinion. This show sucks. This show fucking sucks. But tonight on Monday Night Raw, like I said, Tommaso Ciampa ended up returning, and he had a match. He ended up taking on The Miz. And we also had Katana Chance and Kayden Carter. They ended up taking on Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green. We had Indus, Veer and Sangha. They ended up taking on Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. Matt Riddle ended up taking on ladies and gentlemen, Ludwig Kaiser. Then we also had the Viking Raiders versus the Alpha Academy. We had Natalya versus Rhea Ripley. We had a Money in the Bank qualifying match where it was Trish Stratus versus Smiling Raquel Rodriguez. Bronson Reed was in action. He took on Shinsuke Nakamura. And in the main event, it was Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn, which it was Cody Rhodes' two mystery partners versus the Judgment Day, Dominic Mysterio, Finn Balor, and Damian Priest. Overall, this Monday Night Raw just fucking sucked. Absolutely awful. And absolutely boring. But if you guys haven't checked out my previous video that I uploaded earlier today, did a movie review of The Flash. So if you guys haven't checked out that video, definitely give it a watch. I thought the film was good, just not great. It had problems, in my opinion. But watch my review of it. I'll go into depth on the film. But let's jump right into the review. Monday Night Raw open up tonight with the World Heavyweight Champion, Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins made his way down to the ring, and the crowd started singing to his theme song, of course. Rollins stood in the ring, had a spotlight on him as, the arena was dark. So he was taking in the singing from the crowd of his theme song, and all of a sudden, Finn Balor ended up attacking Rollins from behind. Balor knocked Rollins out of the ring. Rollins then ended up pulling Balor out. Balor ended up sending Rollins into the ring post. Balor then continued his attack on Rollins, and officials ended up coming down to back Balor away from Rollins because, of course, Rollins will face Balor at Money in the Bank with the World Heavyweight Championship on the line. So Balor then backed off, and he ended up climbing the ring steps, and he jumped off the ring steps, hit a coup de grace on Rollins. So Rollins was screaming in pain, and he was selling, the coup de grace from Balor. Balor then climbed on the commentary table, and he jumped off of it and hit a second coup de grace to Seth Rollins. So Balor then acted like he was backing away, and he headed toward the ramp. Balor then ended up running off. He jumped off the ring steps, and he hit a third coup de grace to Rollins. So pretty much, that was basically that. But it was a good start to Monday Night Raw here. It started off hot, and Balor, attacking, Rollins before their matchup at Money in the Bank. So, hot start to the show tonight. And then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. This was the first 5 minutes of the show. So they ended up taking their first commercial break at 8:05. So then, as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Seth Rollins was selling, was attacked by Balor with the coup de grace, and he was holding his ribs in pain, and he was shouting for Balor. Balor then ended up attacking Rollins from behind again, to which Balor sent Rollins into 2 tables. He ended up throwing one of the tables onto Rollins' ribs. And Balor said to Rollins that he's been waiting 7 years for this moment. So Balor, wanted to get his revenge on Rollins, after 7 years because, he had to relinquish the Universal Championship, at SummerSlam, 2016. So we all know how that happened, with Balor and Rollins. So pretty much that was that. And then all of a sudden we went back to the ring and we saw The Miz in there. Great. You already know where this show was headed. So The Miz ended up getting on the mic. He ended up shouting that he has heard enough about Seth Rollins. He ended up saying that Rollins was going to issue an open challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship, but Rollins did not deliver. Miz ended up saying that he was going to accept that open challenge and become World Heavyweight Champion. So Miz ended up saying that he is worshipped as a god in this depressing hellhole. Yeah, he's worshipped as a god only in his mind. Nobody worships The Miz as a god. So The Miz ended up saying that he was going to give the people of Cleveland the opportunity to see one of their finest become a champion. Because, of course, this was in Miz's hometown of Cleveland. So Miz ended up saying that he's going to issue his own open challenge to anyone in Cleveland. He ended up saying that he wants everyone to see what a winner looks like amongst a crowd of losers. And so then we had the return of Tommaso Ciampa. Tommaso Ciampa accepted Miz's open challenge, and Miz ended up looking surprised because, of course, Ciampa was a former protege to The Miz, which that was awful. So Ciampa was fired up, and Ciampa has been out because he sustained, of course, an injury. And Ciampa got into the ring. He ended up dropping Miz with a right hand. Ciampa ended up telling the ref to call for the bell. And so the ref ended up calling for the bell. And the match got underway. Miz versus Tommaso Ciampa. And this was a decent showing here for Ciampa's return. So Ciampa started stomping away at Miz. Miz rolled out of the ring to escape. But Ciampa followed the Miz out, and he bounced Miz off the commentary table. Ciampa ended up laying the cover of the commentary table against the edge of the table, and Ciampa ended up giving Miz a back suplex through the cover of the commentary table. Ciampa then sat on the table, patted himself on the shoulder. Ciampa got Miz in the ring, and he sized Miz up. Ciampa then ended up hitting a pair of corner clotheslines. He ended up ducking one of the clotheslines from Miz, and so Ciampa ended up hitting a diving clothesline to the Miz. Ciampa then exposed his knee. He ended up going for the running knee, but Miz avoided that. Miz then ended up hitting a kneeling DDT to Ciampa, to which Miz ended up going for the cover, and Ciampa kicked out. Miz then punched away at Ciampa. He had pinned a running boot to Ciampa's face. So Miz ended up pulling Ciampa up by his beard. Ciampa came back. He ended up chopping Miz's chest. And Ciampa then hit the ropes. Miz delivered a big boot to Ciampa, which took Ciampa down. Miz put Ciampa on the middle rope, and Miz started choking him. He then raked the eyes of Ciampa, and he was talking some trash, the Miz. Miz got Ciampa in the corner, and he started kicking away at him. Ciampa fought back, and he had chopping Miz's chest a few times. Miz ended up reversing the whip into the corner. He had hitting a pented corner clothesline to Ciampa. Miz headed to the top rope for a diving axe handle, but Ciampa ended up delivering a knee strike, to which the Miz went down on his back. So Ciampa then ended up hitting the fairy tale ending on the Miz. He ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Tommaso Ciampa ended up winning the match. But overall, it was good to see Ciampa, come back here. He has old NXT theme music and not the shitty music that he had before his injury. So it was good to hear his old theme again. And he looked good. Ciampa looked good, in this match against The Miz. So, but overall, it was a decent match here, with Ciampa and Miz. And then, as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we saw the Judgment Day. Rhea Ripley, Dominic Mysterio, Balor, and Damian Priest. They were on the stage, and Balor was irate. He was pacing on the stage. He got on the mic. He kept saying that Seth Rollins' open challenge is canceled. And that was canceled by him, by Balor. Balor then wanted to say that he is the only one that will be taking the World Heavyweight Championship from Rollins. He kept saying, as for the crowd, since they like to sing so much, they can sing it at Rollins' funeral. So the crowd then began to sing Rollins' theme song. Rhea Ripley got on the mic. She told the crowd to sit down, shut up, and respect the Judgment Day, and her, and Mommy. She kept saying that at Money in the Bank, the WWE Universe will be buried at their feet, because Balor will bring the World Heavyweight Championship home to the Judgment Day. Rhea ended up saying, as for her, she got the women's division locked down as the most dominant woman in WWE. Rhea ended up saying that Damian Priest will win the Money in the Bank briefcase, and her Dom will also put down their favorite, Cody Rhodes. So the crowd booed at that. Damian Priest got on the mic. He started shouting something in Spanish. And he ended up saying that at Money in the Bank, the briefcase comes home with him. He ended up saying, more importantly, the contract inside will have the name written all over it, which will be him. Priest ended up saying that Cody said that Dom is getting gassed. Priest ended up warning Cody to keep Dom's name out of his mouth, or he'll never be able to fight again. And then Dominic ended up getting on the mic. And the crowd loudly booed him. You could tell that it was piped in boos. So Dom put the mic up. The crowd just booed at him. Dom began to speak, and the crowd booed louder. Of course, piped in boos, because WWE loves their piped in crowd noises. It's like, we're not in the Thunderdome anymore. Why are we still popping in piped in crowd noises? So Rhea Ripley ended up trying to talk to Dom to give him confidence. Dom put the mic up, and he got booed again, and he just shouted, Cody, you're going to see what I'm going to do to you at Money in the Bank. if he could find some partners to face the United Judgment Day together. So pretty much that was that. Typical Judgment Day promo. So Dominic ended up saying, "Oh, Cody, you want to see what I'm going to do to you at Money in the Bank? Oh, get some partners, and they'll face us later tonight." But that was pretty much basically that. And then we had Byron Saxton backstage. Byron Saxton was backstage with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Byron Saxton ended up asking Owens and Zayn about the Bloodline implosion because Friday on SmackDown, Jey Uso turned on Roman Reigns and he left the Bloodline. He ended up super kicking Roman Reigns, which that made Roman irate. So, Bloodline War is going to take place at Money in the Bank, where Roman Reigns is going to team with Soul Code to take on the Usos. So that's going to be happening at Money in the Bank. Owens ended up saying that he cannot take the questions about the Bloodline anymore, and that him and Sami doesn't care. Sami ended up saying that they need to talk, and Sami ended up saying, "Enough's enough." Owens ended up asking what he's trying to say. So Sami Zayn ended up saying that Kevin Owens is a rageaholic, to which Owens ended up shouting, "What?" to Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn ended up saying that Owens has an anger problem. Sami Zayn ended up saying that if Owens can go the rest of the night without a tantrum, he'll drop it. And if he can't do it, Owens will have to admit that there's a problem. So he ended up saying that if he can, he'll shut up about it, to which Kevin Owens ended up agreeing. Sami Zayn ended up apologizing that Byron Saxton had to see it. But Sami Zayn ended up saying that it's been 20 years of this. So pretty much that was basically that. This whole thing with Kevin Owens' anger problem and attitude, I'm like, Kevin Owens is like the Hulk. He's hulking up. And then when he gets in this anger attitude, it's like, Rah! It's like he's turned into the freaking Hulk. You can tell that this is a Vince McMahon type booking for Kevin Owens. This isn't the Kevin Owens that we got when Triple H was in control. Kevin Owens under Triple H was a badass, and the fans were behind him. The fans loved him. This is a downgrade from that. And again, this Kevin Owens having anger problems and an attitude. Hey, he's going to be turned into the Hulk. God. What the fuck has happened with Kevin Owens? And then we had Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green as Samantha Irvin ends up saying her name, Chelsea Green's name. I don't know why when Chelsea Green comes out, she always has to go, Chelsea Green! And then for any other, she goes, oh, Sonya Deville, Kayden Carter, Katana Chance. So we got the match, Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green versus Kayden Carter and Katana Chance. So before the match got underway, TikToks were shown of Chelsea Green flipping out in public and just showing her being a Karen. This was fucking awful. I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? Why are TikToks on WWE television? Absolutely awful. This was. Just Chelsea Green just being a Karen out there, flipping out at people, getting banned from a restaurant place. Fucking terrible. But we had Katana Chance and Kayden Carter end up coming out, which they are a legit tag team. But man, this match was fucking awful. This was boring. Katana Chance started off the match against Sonya Deville. Chelsea Green quickly distracted Katana Chance, and Sonya Deville ended up taking Katana down with a big boot. Deville put Katana in the corner, ended up stopping her down. Chelsea Green then tagged in, started choking Katana with her boot. Chelsea Green ended up taking Katana down by her hair, and she knocked Kayden Carter off the apron. Chelsea Green ended up pulling Katana's hair and started taunting the crowd. Katana came back with a head scissor takeover after rolling off of Kayden Carter. Kayden Carter tagged in, and she ended up attacking both Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green. Carter took both of them down. She ended up hitting a dropkick splash combo to them. Carter ended up kicking Sonya Deville in the face, and she ended up hitting a snapmare to Sonya Deville. Katana ended up tagging in. Katana and Kayden Carter ended up hitting a springboard moonsault slingshot, leg drop combo to Sonya Deville. So we had Katana end up going for the cover. Chelsea Green broke up the pin. So Kayden and Katana started trading tags. They ended up pinning Sonya Deville with a fall neckbreaker 450 splash combo. So there you go. Kayden Carter and Katana Chance ended up winning the match. Overall, boring, awful match this was. Could not give a shit about what was going on. And then we saw Kathy Kelly. Kathy Kelly was on the stage, and she introduced Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes came out, got a big ovation. Everybody was going, whoa! And he was wearing the cast on his arm. Can we question that about if Cody's arm is really broken? Because, earlier he was doing, exercise. He was doing, stretches, and showed no struggle with his broken arm. So I'm like, let's question if Cody's arm is still broken. Let's question that. So Kathy Kelly ended up asking Cody about the 6-man tag challenge from the Judgment Day. Cody ended up saying that Cleveland is on fire, and that the Judgment Day is also on fire. He ended up saying that Rhea Ripley is dominated. Damian Priest is a few last steps away from winning Money in the Bank, and Finn Balor might leave as the World Heavyweight Champion. He then ended up saying, and then there's Dominic, and that it won't be hard to find 2 guys to team with him. Cody then accepted the challenge. And pretty much that was basically that. What a waste of a segment this was. Cody just coming out there, oh, I accept the challenge. To face the Judgment Day and find 2 guys that could team with me. Absolute waste. You have Cody just come out there just for that. And then we had Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin versus Indus, Sangha, and Veer. And of course, they were accompanied by Jinder Mahal. And this match was supposed to take place 2 weeks ago, but that match never got underway because Indus ended up beating down on both Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. Like I gave a shit. But this match was just a squash match. Match started with Shelton Benjamin ended up kneeing Sangha off the apron. Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin double teamed on Veer in the ring. Cedric Alexander ended up going for a plancha on Sangha. Sangha ended up catching Cedric Alexander, and Shelton Benjamin ended up hitting a blockbuster off the apron on Sangha. Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander started shouting at Jinder Mahal as he ended up looking concerned. Shelton Benjamin got into the ring. Veer ended up flattening Shelton Benjamin with an avalanche. Sangha then ended up dropping Cedric Alexander ribs first onto the barricade. Shelton Benjamin started fighting back against Veer. Veer ended up kicking Shelton Benjamin in his midsection, and then he punched Shelton Benjamin down. Sangha ended up tagging in. Veer ended up hanging Shelton Benjamin on the top rope for Sangha to deliver a big boot to Shelton Benjamin's midsection. Veer ended up tagging back in, and both Veer and Sangha ended up hitting a sidewalk slam driving leg drop combo on Shelton Benjamin. So there you go. Indus Sheer ended up winning the match. Squash match it was, and I did not give a shit. There is absolutely nothing with Indus Sheer there. And the crowd, of course, does not give a shit as well. So that's that. And then we had Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. They were walking backstage. Owens ended up bumping into a stagehand who spilt water on Kevin Owens' shirt. So the stagehand apologized to Kevin Owens. Owens ended up fighting down the anger, and he accepted an apology. He fighted down, turned into the Hulk. So Kevin Owens ended up saying that he doesn't have an anger problem, and that he has an idiot problem. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn then saw Matt Riddle. So Matt Riddle talked to Owens and Sami Zayn. And Riddle was like, "Oh, Owens, I watched some movies. I watched Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Little Giants." And then Owens ended up shouting at Riddle. He controlled his anger. And he kept saying to Riddle, "Oh, those are great movies. Good luck in your match." So Owens wished him luck. Matt Riddle ended up patting Owens on the chest. And Owens ended up saying to Riddle not to touch him. So that was pretty much basically that. And as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we saw the return of Logan Paul. Logan Paul was seated atop a ladder underneath the briefcases. The crowd ended up booing at him. Logan Paul got on the mic. He kept saying that it's great to be back in Ohio. He kept saying that he was walking down the aisle looking at so many kids full of ambition like he was. He wanted to say that the best people in the world come from Cleveland. He kept saying, "You've got LeBron James, Jerry the King Lawler, and himself." Logan Paul ended up saying that when he looks back on his life in Cleveland, he thinks about the moments that made him great. He ended up saying that his greatest moment was leaving Cleveland. And when he left, he got to pursue his dreams in Hollywood. He ended up saying that they all stayed to freeze their asses off in the winter. Logan Paul ended up saying that he came back and that it smells like industrial steel. He ended up saying also, the Browns still suck. Logan Paul ended up saying that he is the best that the people have, and that their people cannot stop losing. He ended up saying that his brother Jake Paul lost a boxing match, and he lost to Seth Rollins. Hell, The Miz lost tonight. He ended up saying today's the day, Clevelanders stop losing. Logan Paul ended up saying that he's bringing respect back. He ended up calling the WWE executives because he can and got an invitation. Logan Paul ended up announcing that he will be competing in the men's Money in the Bank match. Logan Paul ended up saying that he will win and cash in on whoever he wants, whenever he wants. He ended up saying then he's coming back to Cleveland and going crazy. So Ricochet came out, who was also in the Money in the Bank ladder match. He came out to the stage. Ricochet got on the mic. He kept saying that he just wants to congratulate Logan Paul on getting into Money in the Bank. He kept saying that they all understand that Logan Paul has a big social media presence. But Ricochet ended up saying that he wants him to understand something. And that the only reason Logan Paul got added is that he made Logan Paul go viral at the Royal Rumble. So Ricochet ended up saying that it doesn't change the fact that he will leave London as Mr. Money in the Bank. And then we got Shinsuke Nakamura coming out. Of course, this is typical Vince McMahon, where one person comes out, gets on the mic, another person comes out, and then another person comes out, and then another person comes out. This is typical Vince McMahon here. So Shinsuke Nakamura came out. Nakamura ended up asking if this is a done deal, and that he cannot believe Ricochet doesn't care, because he does. And he ended up saying that he is going to be Money in the Bank. And then LA Knight came out. LA Knight got a huge ovation from the crowd there. A lot of people love LA Knight. LA Knight is just awesome. He's great at what he does. Knight got on the mic. He ended up saying, "Let me talk to you." Knight ended up saying that he sees Ricochet and Nakamura as two guys as useless as basketball cleats. He ended up saying that he sees a guy that makes videos for 14-year-old girls and pretending to be a megastar. LA Knight ended up saying that he has a map for Logan Paul that has directions for where he can stick it. He ended up saying that briefcase has his name on it. And then Santos Escobar came out. Escobar ended up getting on the mic. He ended up saying that he's hearing empty promises and lies. Escobar ended up welcoming Logan Paul to the party. He ended up saying that at the end of the day, at Money in the Bank, standing tall will be the man that represents La Raza and the LWO. And then Butch ended up coming out. Butch of the Brawling Brutes. So Logan Paul was like, he doesn't even know who that is. Butch got into the ring and attacked Logan Paul. And then a brawl broke out in the ring. Santos Escobar and Ricochet tackled each other out of the ring. Logan Paul wiped out Butch with a right hand. Logan Paul then took out Santos Escobar and Ricochet with a somersault senton. Logan Paul got into the ring. He set the ladder up. He climbed up the ladder to pose with the briefcase. And pretty much that was basically that. So Logan Paul is being added to the Money in the Bank ladder match. He just gets added in there. No qualifying matches. Just gets added, boom, like that. And so now, because of this, Logan Paul has now become the odds-on favorite to win the briefcase, which I hope that's not the case. If that is, then that would be a fucking disaster. LA Knight is the guy that should win the Money in the Bank ladder match. If you don't make LA Knight win that match, then WWE has fucked up. Like they always do. LA Knight is the one that needs to win the Money in the Bank. That's it. But overall, this was just a very awful meh segment. Like I said, typical Vince McMahon, where you have one guy come out and then another guy come out saying, "Oh yeah, the briefcase is going with me." Oh no, the briefcase is going with me. Very typical. And then we had Matt Riddle versus Ludwig Kaiser. This was a decent match here. Ludwig Kaiser, of course, was accompanied by Gunther. So the match got underway. Both guys ended up blocking up. Kaiser ended up getting Riddle in the corner. Riddle ducked the right hand from Kaiser, and then he kicked away at Kaiser's chest. Kaiser blocked the kick from Riddle, but Riddle took him down, and he ended up going for an ankle lock, to which Kaiser immediately got to the ropes. Kaiser turned Riddle in the corner and decked him with a punch. Kaiser put Riddle in the corner, started punching away at him. Kaiser then tied Riddle upside down on the ropes, and he drop-kicked Riddle in his midsection. Kaiser ended up grabbing Riddle, but Riddle fought back. Kaiser kicked Riddle in his midsection, but Riddle came back with a deadlift gut-wrench suplex to Kaiser. Riddle followed up with a Broton, and Kaiser rolled out of the ring. Riddle ended up kicking Kaiser in his face. Riddle then shouted at Gunther as Kaiser used that distraction to chop block Riddle on the apron. Kaiser then ended up hitting a snap suplex to Riddle off the apron to the floor. And then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. And then when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Kaiser was in control of the match. He ended up knocking Riddle off the top rope. Riddle ended up scaling the ropes, and he ended up hitting Kaiser with a top rope fisherman superplex, which was good. So both men were down, and you had both guys end up getting up to their feet. They were exchanging punches. So Riddle ended up delivering a kick to Kaiser's head. Riddle ended up hitting a pair of running forearms in the corner, which was followed up by an exploder. Kaiser ended up avoiding a kick from Riddle, and he delivered a standing moonsault. Riddle ended up trying to go for a Broton, but Kaiser ended up getting his knees up. Kaiser ended up charging Riddle against the ropes, but Riddle ended up pulling Kaiser over with a head scissor takeover. Riddle then ended up hitting a springboard floating bro out to the floor. So then Riddle got Kaiser in the ring, ended up hitting a fisherman's buster. He ended up going for the cover, and Kaiser kicked out. So Riddle then ended up lifting Kaiser. Kaiser ended up sliding off, and he uppercut Riddle. Kaiser ended up flooring Riddle with a step-up enziguri. Riddle came back with a kick and a knee to Kaiser's face. Riddle ended up going for a springboard, but Kaiser countered that into a rolling Death Valley driver, to which Kaiser ended up going for the cover, and Riddle ended up kicking out, to which Kaiser couldn't believe that Riddle kicked out of the Death Valley driver. So at the end of the match, we had Kaiser coming off the second rope with a diving European uppercut attempt, but Riddle countered that into a German suplex, and then Riddle ended up delivering the Bro Derek to Kaiser. He ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Matt Riddle ended up winning the match. Post-match, Riddle ended up ducking a chop from Gunther. Riddle started kicking away at Gunther. Gunther ended up blocking a kick from Riddle, and he turned Riddle inside out with a kick to his leg. Kaiser ended up attacking Riddle and held him down. Gunther ended up stopping Riddle's ankle twice, and Gunther and Kaiser left the ring as Riddle was holding his left leg, which was injured because Gunther ended up stopping Riddle's ankle twice. The same way that Riddle ended up hurting Vinci. So pretty much that was that. But overall, it was a decent match between Riddle and Kaiser. And then we saw Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. They were backstage. Gunther and Ludwig Kaiser walked up to them. And Owens, once again, ended up saying, they weren't called. That Gunther and Kaiser weren't called. Kaiser ended up saying, what happened to Matt Riddle can happen to them. Owens began to flip out, but Zayn ended up stopping him. Zayn ended up saying that they have something to take care of. Zayn ended up showing Owens his phone, and they ended up walking off. So it looks like Gunther and Kaiser want a piece of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And then we had Alpha Academy, Chad Gable and Otis versus the Viking Raiders. And the same old, with this, same old shit. So footage was shown from earlier in the day of Chad Gable. He was running a training session for Maxine Dupree and Otis. Maxine ended up saying that she's ready for Valhalla. Chad Gable ended up saying that she surprised everyone because they underestimated Master Gable's coaching abilities. Maxine ended up grabbing a trainee. She ended up setting up for a suplex, and they didn't even show how she executed that suplex to that trainee. Because Chad Gable was working with this trainee also here. But replays were shown of Maxine giving Valhalla that arm drag that we saw last week at ringside. So this was same old matchup here. Chad Gable started off the match against Eric. Gable quickly ended up getting the better of Eric. Otis and Ivar tagged in. Otis ended up running through Ivar with a shoulder tackle. Otis then saw an opportunity to hit the Caterpillar, but Eric ended up distracting him. Ivar then ended up hitting a spin kick to Otis. Eric tagged in, and he ended up taking down Otis. Ivar tagged back in. He started stopping Otis from making a tag to Gable. Otis ended up coming back with a vertical suplex on Ivar. Chad Gable and Eric end up tagging in. Gable then struck away at Eric, end up hitting a roll neck breaker. So Ivar ended up running in. Gable ended up nearly hitting Ivar with an exploder, but Ivar ended up getting out. You had Gable end up going to the top rope. He took out both of the Viking Raiders with a moonsault block to the floor. So Valhalla got on the apron. Maxine ended up pulling her down. Maxine then ended up hitting Valhalla with a vertical suplex on the floor. Otis then celebrated with Maxine. And Eric ended up hitting the distracted Chad Gable with a full Nelson into a knee to Chad Gable's head. And then he ended up going for the cover, and there you go. The Viking Raiders ended up winning the match. Overall, it was the same old shit with the Viking Raiders and the Alpha Academy. Hey, let's get this matchup done with Maxine Dupri and Valhalla. Let's get it over with. You know, they're teasing this. But no, it's going to be an awful fucking match. So then we saw the Judgment Day. They were backstage. Dominic Mysterio ended up saying that it doesn't matter what two partners Cody ended up picking because they are on the same page. So Rhea Ripley ended up asking Balor if they're on the same page. So Balor didn't sound very convincing, you know, right there. And Rhea Ripley ended up saying that she has something to handle. And pretty much that was that. And then we saw Kathy Kelly. Kathy Kelly was backstage with Natalya. And Kathy Kelly ended up asking how Natalya has prepared for this match. Natalya ended up telling Kathy Kelly what happened at Night of Champions rocked her to a core. She ended up saying that she has to figure out if she still belongs. She ended up saying tonight will be a chance to see where she belongs. So pretty much this is basically Natalya needing a redemption story. Very boring. So then we had Rhea Ripley versus Natalya. Absolutely boring this was. So as Natalya made her way down, Rhea Ripley ended up attacking her from behind, and she ended up knocking Natalya off the apron. Rhea Ripley ended up throwing Natalya into the barricade and then into the ring steps. Rhea Ripley then ended up whipping Natalya into the LED apron and started talking some trash. Rhea Ripley ended up headbutting Natalya in the chest. She was thrown into the ring. Rhea Ripley ended up crushing Natalya with the riptide, and officials end up running down. The match never got underway here. So Rhea Ripley ended up grabbing the title and walked off. So, match never got underway. What a waste. So then, Raquel Rodriguez, Smiley Raquel, was shown watching what just happened backstage. Kathy Kelly ended up asking Raquel about getting an opportunity to get into Money in the Bank. Raquel ended up saying to Kathy Kelly that it's an honor to face Trish Stratus, but she has to talk about what Rhea Ripley just did. Rhea Ripley came backstage, she got in Raquel's face. Raquel ended up saying that Rhea Ripley better hope she doesn't win because Rhea isn't ready for Raquel. So she just stole that from Asuka. You know, where Asuka's like, no one is ready for Asuka. Rhea Ripley just stole that from her, saying, oh, Rhea isn't ready for Raquel. So that was that. And then we saw Cody Rhodes walking backstage. And Akira Tozawa came up to him. Akira Tozawa wanted to be Cody's tag team partner. So Cody ended up declining the offer from Akira Tozawa. So then Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn walked up to Cody. They ended up saying that they got his text and would be happy to help out. Cody Rhodes ended up mentioning to them that Akira Tozawa offered. Owens ended up flipping out, turned into the Hulk, because he wanted to punch people in the face. Cody ended up saying that he declined Tozawa's request and will team with him and Sami Zayn. So Owens was pleased about that. So pretty much that was that. And then we went to the Money in the Bank qualifying match. Smiley Raquel Rodriguez, versus Trish Stratus, who was accompanied by Zoe Stark. And the match was just meh, in my opinion. Trish Stratus took it to Raquel with some strikes as the bell ended up ringing. Raquel ended up grabbing Trish Stratus, started ragdolling her. She ended up throwing Trish down. Raquel then lifted Trish up, ended up hitting a stiff scoop slam. Raquel then avalanched Trish in the corner. Trish ended up putting herself through the ropes to keep her back from Raquel. Trish then elbowed Raquel in the face and slapped her, which just angered Raquel. So Trish tried begging Raquel off. Raquel ended up getting Trish in the corner, and she ended up hitting some shoulder thrusts. Raquel then whipped Trish to the opposite corner. She ended up charging at her, but Trish moved out of the way. So Raquel ended up going shoulder first into the ring post. Trish then ended up hitting a tornado DDT to Raquel. She ended up going for the cover, and Raquel kicked out. So Trish ended up choking Raquel on the ropes, and she ended up sitting on the top rope. She ended up going for a sleeper hold, but Raquel pulled Trish off and backed her into the corner. Trish then sidestepped a running big boot from Raquel. Trish ended up grabbing Raquel's hair and tied it around the turnbuckle. Raquel then ended up setting up for a Tejada bomb, but Trish ended up counting that into a hurricanrana in the corner. Trish ended up going for the cover, to which Raquel ended up kicking out. So Trish ended up taking Raquel out with a right hand, which was followed up by a camel clutch. Trish ended up fish hooking Raquel's mouth. So Raquel ended up getting out with a slam. She ended up headbutting Trish back. Raquel then avalanched Trish in the corner, ended up hitting snake eyes there. Trish ended up ducking a clothesline from Raquel. Raquel ended up rebounding with a clothesline that turned Trish inside out. You had Trish Stratus end up distracting the ref. Zoe Stark ended up blindsiding Raquel. Trish Stratus ended up sending Raquel into the ring post, and she ended up going for the cover, to which Raquel ended up kicking out. And all of a sudden, Becky Lynch ended up attacking Zoe Stark from behind. She ended up sending Zoe Stark into the barricade. Trish Stratus ended up going to the outside to break it up, but Becky ended up sending Trish into the barricade, and the ref called for the bell. So because of that, Trish Stratus ended up winning the match. Trish Stratus is going into the Money in the Bank match. So we had Raquel looked furious about what happened. So Trish Stratus is now joined Bayley, Becky Lynch, Zoe Stark, Zelina Vega, and Io Sky in the women's Money in the Bank. So with this, they made Becky Lynch an idiot. I'm like, this is awful writing here. Who writes this shit? Awful. The match was just meh, in my opinion. And then we saw Kathy Kelly. Kathy Kelly was backstage with Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker is just very good. You know, he's good on NXT. He's one of my favorites. Braun Breaker ended up saying that Rollins has talked a big game. He ended up saying that he's been waiting for this opportunity. Breaker ended up saying that if they think what Balor did tonight was bad, they haven't seen anything yet. Breaker ended up saying that he's going to hurt Seth Rollins really freaking bad, and that he's going to become the new World Heavyweight Champion. So pretty much that was that. But we're going to be seeing the matchup tomorrow on NXT, and it's unclear if Rollins will be cleared to defend the World Heavyweight Championship tomorrow against Braun Breaker. But obviously, Seth Rollins, I think, will be cleared to defend the title tomorrow night. So then we saw Byron Saxton. Byron Saxton ended up asking Becky Lynch what just happened out there. Becky ended up saying that she screwed herself, or did she? She ended up saying she now has Trish Stratus in the match with ladders, but she has a lot of enemies in this match. Becky ended up saying that she will either win or go down in a blaze of glory, taking down Trish and Zoe Stark with her. So that was that. And then we had Shinsuke Nakamura versus Bronson Reed. And this was an okay match here. So we had the match starting off with Nakamura and the booting Bronson Reed into the corner. Nakamura hit a snapmare. He ended up dropping a knee to Bronson Reed. He ended up going for the cover, to which Bronson Reed kicked out at 1. Reed ended up quickly taking Nakamura down. Nakamura came back and he ended up putting Bronson Reed on the ropes. Nakamura then ended up hitting a sliding German suplex to Reed. Ricochet then walked down the ramp, which upsetted Nakamura. So then, as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we had Nakamura in control of the match. He ended up avoiding an avalanche. He ended up hitting a diving kick to Bronson Reed. He went for the cover, to which Reed ended up kicking out. So Reed ended up coming back with a suplex to Nakamura, to which he went for the cover, and Nakamura kicked out. So Ricochet was watching the match from ringside near the commentary table. Reed knocked Nakamura off the apron. He ended up hitting a diving shoulder tackle off the apron to the floor. Nakamura was then turned inside out. Reed tried to send Nakamura into Ricochet, but Ricochet ended up moving out of the way. So Ricochet then ended up sending Nakamura into Bronson Reed. Nakamura ended up taking exception to that, and so Bronson Reed ended up attacking Nakamura. Reed then ended up grabbing Ricochet and sent him into the ring steps. Nakamura then ended up kicking Bronson Reed in the head. Nakamura was charging to hit the Kinshasa to Reed, but Reed ended up sidestepping, and he sent Nakamura into Ricochet, which knocked Ricochet off the apron. Reed then ended up hitting a German suplex to Nakamura. He then went to the top rope, and Bronson Reed then ended up hitting the tsunami on Nakamura, and he ended up going for the cover. And there you go. Bronson Reed ended up winning the match. Bronson Reed is just awesome. I hope that if they keep building him up, he's going to get over. He's going to get over very big. And I hope they continue to do that. So overall, this was an okay matchup here between Nakamura and Bronson Reed. So then we saw Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins was in the trainer's room. He ended up saying that they sent him for x-rays, but he doesn't give a damn. Rollins ended up saying that he'll be on NXT tomorrow night to defend the World Heavyweight Championship against Braun Breaker. Rollins ended up saying as for Finn Balor, that's the guy that beat him 7 years ago. Rollins ended up saying, welcome back. He ended up saying Money in the Bank can't come soon enough. So there you go. Braun Breaker versus Rollins tomorrow night on NXT for the World Heavyweight Championship. Should be a good match. We're looking forward to it. Main event. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn and Cody Rhodes versus the Judgment Day. Balor, Damian Priest, and Dominic Mysterio. And this was a decent main event here. So Cody Rhodes started off against Damian Priest, but Damian Priest ended up tagging Dominic in, which the crowd ended up booing. So we had Dominic ended up taking Balor in. So Balor and Cody ended up blocking up. Balor then ended up wrenching Cody's injured arm. Cody then applied a side headlock, but Balor ended up whipping Cody off. Balor went for a leapfrog, but Cody caught Balor, and he ended up hitting a fireman's carry buster to Balor. Balor then quickly tackled Cody into his corner. Dominic then tagged in, and he chopped Cody's back, which pissed off Cody. So Dom ran out of the ring, and he hid behind Mami. So Dom got back into the ring and tagged in Damian Priest. Sami Zayn also tagged in. And the crowd was chanting, "Dom's a pussy," which that got bleeped out on TV. You know, the word pussy got bleeped out on TV. Sami Zayn ended up taking Damian Priest down with a diving elbow to the head off the second rope. Sami Zayn ended up going for the cover, and Damian Priest kicked out. Dom ended up tagging in. He started stomping away at Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn fought back, but Dom ended up stunning Sami Zayn with a kick to his midsection. Dom ended up setting up for the Three Amigos, but Sami Zayn countered it into a vertical suplex. So Dom then ended up reversing the whip. Sami Zayn ended up holding on, and he booted Dom back. The referee ended up checking on Dom. So Rhea Ripley got on the apron, and she clotheslined Sami Zayn down. And then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Damian Priest was in control of the match. He ended up avalanching Sami Zayn in the corner. Balor tagged in. He ended up hitting a slingshot stomp to Sami Zayn. Dom then tagged in, ended up hitting a slingshot senton to Sami Zayn. Balor then tagged in, and then he tagged Damian Priest in. Balor ended up hitting a backbreaker, and Priest followed up with a leg drop, to which Priest ended up going for the cover, and Sami Zayn ended up kicking out. Priest then ended up taunting Kevin Owens, and he punched him. Priest ended up charging Sami Zayn in the corner, but Sami Zayn ended up moving out of the way. Dom tagged in. He knocked Cody off the apron. Balor then tagged in. He ended up putting Sami Zayn in the corner, and he delivered a chop to Sami Zayn. Balor then ended up whipping Sami Zayn to the opposite corner, ended up hitting a running chop. Balor ended up whipping Sami Zayn to the corner again, but Sami Zayn ended up delivering a clothesline to Balor. So Dominic and Kevin Owens ended up tagging in. Owens ended up punching away at Dom, and he started stomping him down. Owens ended up punching Priest off the apron. Owens ended up going out of the ring and attacked Dominic, who was heading up the ramp. Owens ended up getting Dom in the ring. He ducked the clothesline, and he wiped Dom out with a super kick. Owens ended up telling Dom to suck it, and then he hit the cannonball in the corner to Dom. Owens ended up covering Dom, and Dom ended up kicking out. So Rhea Ripley was looking relieved and concerned on the outside. Kevin Owens ended up going for a pop-up powerbomb, but Balor tagged in, and Dom got out of that. Balor ended up hitting a fallen elbow drop on Kevin Owens, to which he ended up going for the cover, and Owens ended up kicking out. So we had Balor end up hitting a sling blade to Owens, and we had Balor ended up charging at Owens, but Owens ended up super kicking Balor down. We had Cody end up hitting a disaster kick to Damian Priest, and he ended up going for the cover, to which Priest ended up kicking out. Cody leapt to the top rope, and he ended up getting down because Rhea Ripley ended up distracting him, to which Damian Priest ended up hitting the South of Heaven on Cody. Priest ended up going for the cover, and Sami ended up breaking up the pin. Dom then attacked Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn ended up putting Dom on the apron, and he punched him into Rhea Ripley's arms. So Rhea Ripley angrily got on the apron, and she yelled at Sami Zayn. Ripley ended up challenging Sami Zayn. So Sami Zayn ended up charging. So she ended up ducking, and he ended up hitting Dom with a somersault senton. So Cody ended up following up with a Cody cutter on Damian Priest, to which he ended up going for the cover, to which Priest kicked out. So Balor and Owens began brawling at ringside. Owens sent Balor ribs first into the barricade. Priest ended up rolling Cody up, and Cody ended up kicking out. So Priest ended up stunning Cody with a punch. He springboarded off the ropes, but Cody ended up taking Priest out in midair. Cody ended up going for the cover, but Dom ended up breaking out the pin. Dom then grabbed Kevin Owens and sent him out of the ring. Dom ended up signaling to go for the 619 on Cody, but Sami Zayn clotheslined Dom down, and Sami Zayn ended up hitting the haluva kick. Kevin Owens then followed up with a stunner on Dom. Cody ended up sizing Damian Priest up, and he hit the crossroads on Damian Priest, to which Cody ended up going for the cover. And there you go. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and Cody Rhodes ended up winning the match. Overall, this was a decent main event here. This was a decent 6-man tag. But overall, Monday Night Raw was just awful and boring, in my opinion. But anyways, that's it for the Monday Night Raw review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. Be sure to check out my previous video, my movie review of The Flash, if you guys haven't seen it, so check that out. And won't be doing a Dynamite review on Wednesday, so there will be no review of that. But until next video, I'll see you all later.